Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the trading setup as well as the market strategies for the day, for the week, as well as for the second half of the calendar year as well. Remember, it's the beginning of the week, Monday, but it's the last trading session of June as well as the April to June quarter. And of course, today also marks the end of H1 calendar year 2025 as well. Remember, the last week we've seen the markets logging in gains for the second consecutive week, with the frontline indices rising over 2% each. June series has been firm as well. In fact, in the first half of the calendar year, we've seen the Nifty gaining about 8.4% in trade as well, while we've also seen the Sensex advancing by 7.6% for the first half of the calendar year. Now, as far as the sectors are concerned, it's the Nifty Bank Index that's been the top performer with 12.7% of a gain that's been seen in the first 6 months of the calendar year, now quoting at new lifetime highs as well, followed by the Nifty Metals as well as the Oil and Gas Index, both of which have climbed above 10% each as well in the first half of the calendar year. Now, remains to be seen how are we going to be really seeing the second half really pan out, and what are going to be extreme important strategies that you must follow for sure. Let's now welcome our guest on board. We have with us Mr. Avinash Gorakshakar now joining in on the platform with us. He's a well-known market expert from Profitmart Research. A warm welcome to you, sir, and thank you so much for taking the time out as well. It's good to have you with us right at the cusp of the middle of the calendar year that we are at so far. It's been extremely volatile. We've seen a lot of ups and downs, and of course global as well as local events that have impacted the sentiments. What is the tenor and the texture of the market according to you at this point in time, and how are we going to be going forward from here, sir?
Yeah, good morning, Sakshi. I think clearly, I believe that markets are going to now remain in a little range-bound activity. One reason is basically most of the earnings numbers are out of the market. I think now markets are going to focus on the monsoon factor and plus the July 9 deadline, which Mr. Donald Trump has given. I think markets are expecting that possibly before this date, the India-US trade deal will be announced and finalized, and that's a good thing. There have been some reports that the US-India trade deal will be quite favorable for India. So I think that is one positive fact. But I think there's a lot of supply of paper, especially from block deals, from promoters, selling out their equity stakes in the market. So that's going to really cap the market upside in the very near term. But yes, there are lots of bottom-up opportunities from sectors like two-wheelers, financials, capital goods, hotels, hospitals. So I think we got to keep a watch on stock-specific activities. The broader index, I think, is going to remain in a very small range now, unless and until we see a very big trigger. But at least in a very near term, I think we'll have to wait, for the new round of RBI policy to come in. But overall, I think it's going to be a stock pickers market where if you're getting good valuations and good growth commentary and good earnings growth, this could be a good stock-specific kind of market for the investors.
Okay, got that. Now, Mr. Gorakshakar, if you could help us understand, for the second half of the calendar year, any particular themes that you believe will outperform the markets, or do you think any sectors should be kept on the radar?
I think one can look at public sector banks. Some announcements have come that PSU banks can list their subsidiaries, and I think a lot of PSU banks are trading at very, reasonable valuations. If you talk about large PSU banks like Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, PNB, I would not be surprised that the regulator has now has already said that they can list their subsidiaries. So Canara Bank is first in the list. I think trading at very attractive valuations. The stock quotes below its book value. It already owns Canfin Homes, and now Canara Bank has got an asset management company which is going to go public very soon. So I think clearly this could be a good risk reward and a good trade opportunity for short to medium term investors. Plus, I would say that the infrastructure and the construction companies, like L&T, for that reason, EPC companies like NCC, Nagarjuna Construction, typically somebody like PSP Projects. These are companies which are going to benefit significantly from government expenditure, which is going to get ramped up in the second quarter, that is July to September. In the April to June quarter, there were expectations that growth would come in, but this has not come in. But I think a lot of government capex will come in. And broadly, let me tell you also one more thing, that now the base effect will play off for April to June and July to September. So that also will make earnings look pretty attractive for most of the companies which are going to come out with numbers for the first quarter of FY26.
Absolutely. Now, Mr. Gorakshakar, when it comes to the Nifty overall, we are just about 600, 700 points away from the all-time high levels of 26,277 as well. In what all likelihood are we likely to see this in July series? And in the second half, do you really feel that, we have a substantial potential to probably keep our next target as high as 28,000 or 30,000 on the Nifty?
Yeah, definitely. It is very much possible. But as I understand, Sakshi, I think the real trigger for the market could come in once the September quarter is over, because by that time you will come to know what is the progress of the monsoon, how is rural demand picking up, what is the benefit of lower interest rates. So all that has yet got to be captured into earnings numbers. And I think whatever was announced by the RBI earlier by 2 rate cuts, plus whatever budget benefits have come in, I think all that would get factored into the April to June and the July to September quarter. And I think hopefully if September quarter is also good, then I think you could see a lot of earnings upgrades, from the analysts. So I think clearly the index will take a cue from this. Luckily, all the macro factors are positive for us. I think crude has also started coming down. Locally, the GST collections are also good. So I think you're going to see a much stronger second half for the corporate sector. And that I think will be a good re-rating kind of time frame when you could see the index moving up. So I think net we are structurally positive, but I think for the next 1 or 2 quarters till September, I think the markets are going to remain in a small range.
Okay, fair point. All right, let me just quickly reiterate for all our viewers, global setup as well, to get an understanding of how the markets could open today, and then we'll come to our macro discussion. The overnight Friday's trading session saw S&P 500 close at record high levels at 6,173, surpassing its previous peak of 6,147 as well. What we've also seen is that the Nasdaq also ended at a new all-time high, climbing about 0.5%. Dow Jones also added nearly 1% in trade as well. And in fact, June has also seen this robust rebound in the US equities from the lows experienced in the month of April amid heightened trade policy tensions as well. Even though the uncertainty across global negotiation continues to cast a shadow, but right now, US markets seem to be at the high point. Asian Pacific market, they also climbed this morning, digesting a host of economic data, including the industrial output figures from Japan and South Korea for May, as well as China's June purchasing managers index figures as well. Nikkei was up by about 1.5% in trade, while we've seen topics also gained by 1%. Hang Seng down by 0.3%, but Chinese index 0.2% higher in trade. Kospi also 0.7% higher. GIFT Nifty is indicating a muted start, and we are already getting this already getting the pre-open figures at this point, 25,487, 150 points down in trade, but this should improve for the better because the global setup is still positive. In fact, we also have seen the FII's net buy shares worth about 1,500 crore rupees on Friday's trading session, and we will have to see how this also pans out. So improving data on the Nifty 50, 25,600 now with us back. So this is a more sensible number to look at, and I hope this will also turn green as we inch closer to the settling of the data in the pre-open space as well. Let's get back to Mr. Gorakshakar to understand, what are the focus points in today's trading session we have to keep in mind. One is the big pharma deal that we will be looking out for, Mr. Gorakshakar, Torrent Pharma, that's announced on Sunday that it will be acquiring JB Chemicals from KKR in 2 phases at an equity valuation of 25,689 crores. This transaction will be executed in 2 phases. The first phase will see Torrent acquire 46.39% stake for 11,917 crores from KKR. Now, it may also acquire additional 2.8% equity from certain employees of JB Chemicals at a price not exceeding 1,600 rupees per share, and will then also make an open offer for additional 26% stake at 1,639 odd rupees per share as well. The second phase will see Torrent Pharma and JB Chemicals merge through a scheme of arrangement as well. Let's understand from you, this is one of the biggest deals that we have seen in recent times as far as the pharma story is concerned, sir. And and probably the biggest one for Torrent. We have, of course, seen lot many acquisitions in the past, but perhaps this is the biggest one that we have seen. In historical data also, probably just one or two more deals would have been just bigger than this one that we are talking about. How is it going to change the dynamics in the pharma space for you? How would you look at Torrent Pharma now, sir?
No, I think first of all, I think this deal is quite earnings accretive for Torrent Pharma. They paid a good price, and I think they were not present in the cardiac and gastro segments, which JB Chemical is a large player. So that actually enhances their product portfolio. As far as the valuation is concerned, I would believe that it's a good deal for JB Chemical shareholders. At the same time, the swap ratio is going to be beneficial for the Torrent Pharma shareholders. They're giving 50 shares of Torrent Pharma for every 100 shares of JB Chemical. So I think net, you're going to see a good bump up in the revenue and the profitability for FY26. Hopefully from the second half of this financial year, when all the formalities are completed. And 27 could be a full financial year where you could see the full consolidated impact. So I think, markets are quite happy that this is a merger which is going to benefit Torrent Pharma in the longer term. So my sense is that, typically shareholders who have the shares can either have two options. Either they become part of Torrent Pharma, or they obviously exit at a price which is reasonably good.
Okay, so that's the view coming in. Let me also just reiterate what brokerage houses are saying. HSBC on Torrent Pharma has given a buy with a target price of 3,775. They actually believe that this deal is going to be boosting Torrent's standing in chronic therapies, especially in India, and also add international CDMO's capabilities for the company as well. That's what HSBC is of the view. Nomura believes investors may feel confident since Torrent has now a strong record of successful acquisitions in India. The deal offers short-term cost benefits and long-term revenue growth, as both companies have strong positions in cardiac as well as the gastro segments as well. Although they believe the deal is much bigger than Torrent's previous acquisitions, so we'll have to wait it out to find out how the contours also built up and synergies also are developed in due course as well. Larger picture on pharma space, let's understand from you, Mr. Gorakh Shakar. CDMO is being seen as the next big theme in the pharma story in India if one has to look at next 5 years, 10 years perspective. Are you also looking at keenly as to how CDMO is being thought about with every incumbent player right now as a key division and division of importance? And do you think one can actually strategize further if one has to go big on pharma on this aspect?
Yeah, definitely. I think CDMO is a very promising kind of segment, and we are seeing a lot of companies, like Glenmark,
Yeah.
typically, larger companies like even Cipla looking at this segment. And I think clearly, in the overall scheme of things, I think, this is going to be a very long-term kind of business opportunity. And by virtue of, JB Chemicals takeover, definitely Torrent Pharma will be looking at enhancing this space, over the next, say, 2 to 3 years.
Okay, fair point. So that's the pharma story and how it's going to be developing. Extreme important, points that we will be marking out today as well. Right now in the pre-open, Torrent Pharma is up by over 1%. Let's see how it goes forward. There are several other stocks that you can keep an eye out on as well today. Let me just mark out a few. BHEL has got a 6,500 crore rupees order for 6 thermal units for 800 megawatts from Adani Power. That's going to be important to watch. From the defense pack again, HAL will be in focus. It's recommended a final dividend of 15 rupees per share for FY25. Keep an eye out on that. Godrej Properties has forayed into Panipat market, acquiring 43 acres of land. Revenue potential of 1250 odd crore rupees from the real estate pack will be important. ITD Cementation has secured a $67.4 million, approximately 580 odd crore rupees international marine contract in Abu Dhabi. That's something that will be of importance as well. We'll also look at Karnataka Bank, because the top brass has quit citing personal reason. The lender's managing director and CEO Harihara Sharma along with executive director Shekhar Rao both have quit citing personal reasons in their letters on Sunday evening. That stock could be in focus as well and might feel the heat. Let's look at some of the other stocks. Piramal Enterprises, it's invested 700 crores in ARM Piramal Finance via rights issue. That's going to be important. From the pharma pack again, Alembic Pharma will be important. It's got a US FDA approval for one of its injections, that's doxorubicin hydrochloride injection. GAIL has acquired 106.75 crore equity shares of Talcher Fertilizer. That will be important to watch too. We'll also look at Central Bank of India, that's acquired 25% stake in Future Generali India Life Insurance Company. That's also going to be of extreme importance as well. Let's try and understand about the banking and the finance space, since that's going to be of extreme importance to look at. We just know that in the first half of the calendar year, Nifty Bank outperforms as the top moving sector, over 12.7% gains. Now, at the beginning of the calendar year, we already had understood that banks and financials were coming as a consensus play for all the analysts. Do they still have this team to keep going and continue outperforming in the markets in the second half?
Yeah, I think my guess is Sakshi, the banking sector typically picks up in the second half more better than the first half, and I think if you look at the amount of investment which the government is going to make in infrastructure, private capex has also increased. So this is going to obviously boost the bank's profitability. Although rate cuts have been announced, our sense is that the volume of the business opportunity is pretty large. So if you talk about affordable housing loans, if you talk about infrastructure, if you talk about normal working capital, banks are definitely going to see a lot of demand for credit. And I think despite the fact that credit growth has come down, the government of India, the finance ministry has clearly indicated to the PSU banks that they have to push credit in a much more faster manner, so that finally the corporates get credit availability in a much easy way. So my sense is that the larger banks, some banks like ICICI Bank, Axis Bank from the private sector, from the PSU, you have got banks like SBI, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank. These are banks which I think one can definitely look at. Our sense is that you could see strong numbers from not only for the April to June quarter, but even the second and the final fourth quarter, because credit growth is going to pick up, and there's no doubt that asset quality has come down. So the books are clean. Definitely valuation multiples will get re-rated gradually.
Okay, fair point. We'll definitely dig a little deeper with you, sir, and get to understand a whole host of issues. But let's also welcome Vaishali Parekh, Vice President, Technical Research and Analysis at Prabhudas Leeladhar on the program with us. Hi, Vaishali. Very good morning to you. Markets now settling higher in the pre-open trade, 25,661. I was talking to Mr. Gorak Shakar and trying to understand that so far the first half has been pretty volatile, but towards the end of the first half of the calendar year, we managed to inch closer to the erstwhile highs. And what's the likelihood that we will see not just or reclaim not just the previous highs, but even go higher in the second half as well? Tell me, at the end of the first half of the calendar year, what's the sense that you are reading into the markets?
Very good morning to all of you. Yes, so market, yes, now I do agree. We have got into an established trend, and right now we are at 25,600 levels. So I would say that furthermore, there is a upside scope, because the Bank Nifty has already come to its all-time high. And Nifty, for now, I would look at 26,200, which has been the previous high. And above that, also, one cannot rule out the price projections of 27,000 levels. So, well, for near-term basis, I would say 25,000 is the support now, and let's see it going through. But of course, not to miss the in-between whipsaws, but we do see an uptrend, and quite likely that we will retest the high and higher.
Okay, so Vaishali, your top two stock ideas for today, the last day of H1 calendar year 2025.
So, well, I'm looking at Uno Minda. It's opened with a slight gap up. It's showing strength. So I would say this stock looks quite positive. I would say 1100 or 1080 could be taken as a stop loss, and look for a target of 1150 to 1170. The other stock to my liking is TVS Motors. It's on a verge of making a new high, and pretty much close to a breakout level. So once we see the stock surging above 2960 and sustaining above, I think this can go towards 3100, 3200. So these two stocks look good to me right now.
Okay, fair point. In fact, on Uno Minda, we also have a CLSA report that's initiated an outperform rating and target price of 1304 on Uno Minda as well. That's also likely to push the sentiments around it. Now, they believe the company is set to deliver industry beating growth with improving ROCE. They believe the industry is also on a revival path, plus the portfolio diversification is going to be driving robust earnings growth for the company. They are also looking at how company could reinvest bulk of their free cash flow in M&A or fresh projects to scale up fast from here. So that's something that they are clearly looking at as far as Uno Minda is also concerned. Already in the last 3 months, we've seen a 27% of a rally on this stock. Let's see how it performs going forward from here. Mr. Gorak Shakar, coming back to you, you were talking about the banking and the financial names. I wanted to add about HDB Financial. The recent IPO that we saw today is going to be the allotment day. A lot of hopeful investors who bid for the IPO are looking at the allotment when it's finalized. But help us understand, how are you looking at the subsidiaries of big conglomerates and companies getting listed in this space? You have HDB Financial now, you had Bajaj Finance, at the beginning of the year. How would you look at this aspect as well, and what opportunities does it offer to investors?
No, I think Sakshi, as you rightly mentioned, SDB will be a stock which will be in focus very soon. I think one noticeable point about the public issue response was that a large appetite came in from the institutional investors. The
Yeah.
retail has not applied in a big way, but I think in most of these large cap non-banking finance companies, which are subsidiaries of banks, I think you could see a reasonable kind of listing gain on listing, and thereafter, obviously what kind of benefits they get because of the interest rate cut benefit, and obviously the growth in the business is going to drive their valuations. See, up till now, SGB was a subsidiary of HDFC Bank, but now going forward, the management commentary, the growth numbers are going to be separately looked upon, and I think those would be trigger points. I think over the next 12 months, we are positive on NBFCs because we feel that this is a space where you're going to see a lot of action, and HDB definitely qualifies as a reasonably good bet. So my sense is that if investors get a chance to buy the stock on listing, maybe at a reasonable premium, if the stock does not get listed at a very large premium, it would be a good opportunity to accumulate.
Okay, got that. So that's the view as far as HDB Financial is concerned. Probably if you get better levels on the listing is when you could probably be looking at the stock too. Okay, let me ask Vaishali then. Vaishali, you've been tracking HDFC Bank closely. We do know that the stock has been outperforming in the recent times as well. What next? Do you still feel there is a lot of potential ahead?
I would say yes, there is still no exhaustion in the stock. I mean, though it's getting into not yet even in an overbought zone. So I would say
Okay.
now keep a support of 1950. And if you see the momentum continuing in the banking stocks, because Bank Nifty we are looking at 58,000. So I'm sure HDFC Bank should contribute, and that would trigger it to going to 2100, 2200 levels.
Okay, fair point. So that's as far as HDFC Bank is also concerned. Let's start looking at the markets now. We are starting at 25,650. It's a positive start for the Indian markets. The Nifty is starting with mild gains. You can see across the board on the sectors, barring the financial services, all of the sectors are hovering higher. With real estate index about 0.5% up, PSU banks 0.8% higher, something that Mr. Gorak Shakar has been marking out for our viewers. Broader markets about 0.5% higher, small caps and mid caps. Pharma index also about 0.4% up. Consumer durables is higher. All the sectors barring say financial services, which is mildly down 1/10%. Rest of the sectors are all up. Top movers on the Nifty, you have IndusInd Bank 0.8% higher, Geo Financial Services 1.3% higher, 327 now. We are going to be discussing this one also with Mr. Gorak Shakar and with Vaishali both. Axis Bank is also about 0.5% higher in trade. You also have Eternal that's jumping to 263, about 0.5% higher. That's also slowly and gradually moved up, beyond its stuck zone that it was hovering for a very, very long time. Now, when we look at Trent, that's also higher by about 0.7%. L&T is up, something that Mr. Gorak Shakar again marked out for our viewers in the morning trade. SBI Life, however, is down You have Hero Moto that's down. You have Tata Consumer Products and Kotak Mahindra Bank as the top laggards on the Nifty. PSU stocks about 0.3% higher. Let's look at the FNO stocks. RBL Bank, Prestige Estates, Titagarh Rail, BHEL. They are the ones that are hovering higher in trade as far as the FNO stocks are concerned. Let me also pull up the broadest index, the Nifty 500 names, to see what's buzzing. Hind Rectifiers is 8% higher here. We also have names like Swan Defense that's up 5%. Then you also have names like Gensol Engineering that's higher in trade today. Eros International is another one. So some such names that are buzzing right in the opening trade. The Nifty next 50 names will throw up Adani Power for you, higher by about 2%. Of course, some PSU banking names that are definitely up and about: Bank of Baroda, Can Bank, PNB, they are all up. Indigo is also higher, slightly up in trade as well. Vaishali, how do you see the opening in trade today?
Well, I would wait for some time, but one stock to my liking and which is showing strength and technically well placed. One is Aurobindo Pharma. If you see, pharma sector is picking up, and well, so this is showing some strength. I would say 1100 should act as a support, and once we see the stock sustaining above 1150, 1160, this could easily give us a target of 1200 and so on. And in the banking counter, I think Bandhan Bank giving a breakout level above 188. So that is another stock that I would be focusing on.
Okay, got that. We'll keep an eye out on both these stocks. Coming back to Mr. Gorakshakar, Geo Finance, from the same space that we were discussing, finally is moving after a long haul, sir, about 7-8 months where it continued to be stuck in a very narrow consolidative range. And finally, it's now moving up, 326, 327 levels being seen. I think in the last 1 week, if we pull the chart, you will see a spike on the stock as well, and a one-way move on Geo Finance too, and how it moved up very substantially. What's your current call on Geo Finance? Do you still see for fresh entrants, this could be a time to look at Geo Finance as well, sir?
No, I think, see, there have been a lot of developments, specifically if you have read that now Geofinance has got a stockbroking license. Plus, they have tied up with BlackRock for the mutual fund entry of the business. I think you're going to see a lot of news flow coming in, also at the Reliance AGM, which is going to be scheduled very soon. And I think that is going to be a big trigger point. I think now it seems all the pieces of the puzzle are complete, and possibly in the very next quarter you could see a lot of new news flows and announcements from Geofinance. So I think investors who have bought in should hold on. Fresh buying, Sakshi, I think should be done at slightly lower levels. Maybe you could get a corrective phase, at some point of time. But I think definitely the structural story for the next 2 years looks to be quite promising. So I think investors should take a longer term call here. But there could be a lot of news flows at the forthcoming Reliance AGM, which I think will be a very important near-term trigger for the stock.
Okay. Let me also just mark out for all our viewers Torrent Pharma as well as JB Chemicals and Pharma. Both these stocks you should be looking at with that deal announcement coming in. Torrent is slightly up by about 0.8, 0.9% higher, whereas JB Chemicals and Pharma is down by about 5-6 odd percent in trade after that deal, 1695. That's the current level that you're looking at. Let me also mark out any large trades that are happening. Jyoti CNC has seen a large trade today, 1.37 crore shares or 6.06% equity worth 1499 crores has exchanged hands on the D Street at 1087 odd crore rupees. So that's the big deal that's really happened on the D Street in the block deal window too. So keep an eye out on that aspect as well. Let me just mark out a few more names. Okay, so let me ask PSU Bank, sir, that you started off with. You did say that this is the space that you believe in the second half could outperform because it's again been in a long haul consolidative zone, and private banks and financials have rather outperformed in the first half of the calendar year. It could be the turn of the PSU banks. I want to ask you here, for all the retail investors, in the previous rally of the PSU banks, we had seen a broad-based rally, not just the frontline names like an SBI, PNB or Can Bank, but even the second rung ones were also moving up. Bank of Maharashtra, Union Bank, IOB, these kind of stocks were also moving up. So in the second half, if one has to play up the PSU banking theme, what should be the ideal way to approach it?
No, I think, see, clearly banks with larger balance sheets and with a larger kind of geographical spread will definitely be bigger beneficiaries. It's not that the smaller banks will not do well, but I think banks which are present in only one state or maybe which are localized to one area may not get the entire benefit of the credit growth. Although now credit growth seems to be muted, our sense is that the second half of this financial year will offer a very strong opportunity first to the larger banks. See, larger banks themselves are trading at very attractive valuations. If you look at maybe a Bank of Baroda or Canara Bank compared to an Axis or ICICI Bank, there is a big discount available already. So I think investors should at least park 60 to 70% of their funds in the large cap PSU banks. And the smaller banks, as you mentioned, could also be good bets. Banks like Bank of Maharashtra or maybe a South Indian bank, which are largely localized players, they should also benefit. But I think you'll got to go largely with the large PSU banks because obviously a larger balance sheet and a bigger geographical spread will help them actually take the benefit in a bigger way for them going ahead.
Okay, fair point. Coming to you, Vaishali, I'll ask you, you talked about two stocks, both of them are top movers in the F&O space, Bandhan Bank, Oro Pharma. They're both in green, 2.5% higher in trade, and definitely the top moving ones. Beyond this, within the broader markets, are you looking at any other stocks that one can look at as well? Both mid and small caps are also hovering higher.
Well, I think, yeah, I'm focusing on these two stocks for now. And I would say, well, Oil India, after a good corrective move, it's come to a good support level. So I would focus on this again with 435, 432 as a stop loss. This can be looked into for a good positional trade.
Okay, got that. That's the oil and gas story. Mr. Gorakshakar, how would you look at the momentum sectors like defense and probably railways right now? Railways have just started to play catch up with the defense names. It's still far behind from the ones that we have seen the defense story pick up. How are you looking at these two, themes right now?
So I think both the defense as well as railway stocks, Sakshi, are secular themes. I think this is a kind of a sector. These are sectors where one needs to not time the stocks but keep a longer time frame. I think recently Texmaco has received a very large order. That adds to their existing very healthy order book. We've seen most of the wagon companies do well, especially Titagar, Jupiter Wagons. Plus, we have seen a lot of defense companies, the large cap defense companies like HAL, Cochin Shipyard, Masgao Dock, getting new orders. In fact, players like Bharat Electronic recently got a 600 crore order. So my sense is that, these are companies which are going to grow by leaps and bounds over the next, say, 12, 18 months. So, maybe not from a short-term perspective, because in the very near term, these prices may look elevated. But if one wants to build a portfolio, one needs to be a little longer term oriented and build a good portfolio of defense stocks and railway stocks. We believe that the next 2 years is going to be very solid for these companies. And, the government of India is going to encourage local production here. So that definitely gives them strong visibility going forward.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers really understand what's happening on that front too. Let me just pull up a few more stocks then. Okay, Vaishali, to you. Eternal, 264.9% higher. It's among the top movers on the Nifty. How would you look at that one?
Well, I think it's already in a trend and it should continue. So I would say now keep a stop loss of 258, and this can go further high towards, if I'm looking at a longer term time period, I think it needs to cross 270 levels, and that could give further targets of 290 to 300. So we have a good trend coming in. 258 should act as a stop loss.
Okay, got that. Avinash, what about you? Within the new age tech space, do you think again Zomato and Swiggy are the ones that are among the preferred list? Or do you think those which have started to make some sort of a comeback, delivery, Nykaa, are they also coming back into a favorable zone?
No, I think delivery definitely looks interesting because after a very long period they have come to the profitability stage, and I think this is one of those companies which has been always fancied by the markets ever since the company went public. So delivery is one stock which I think should do reasonably well in FY26. But something interesting about Zomato which I read yesterday was that now, apart from the food delivery business, they are also going to enter the regional airline ticketing kind of segment. So that is something which is very interesting. I think Zomato wants to enter every possible segment. And I think that is definitely going to be the benefit of having a fintech platform. So I think they're going to use the same fintech platform to get into the pockets of customers which they've already serviced, or maybe the new customers. That is definitely going to gear up to a bigger and a more kind of diversified product profile for a company like Zomato. So I think we continue to be structurally positive on Zomato, but again, from a longer term view, maybe the short term numbers may not look great, but over the next say couple of years, this is definitely an interesting opportunity.
Okay, fair point. So that's the new age tech space that's in focus right now. What else is buzzing apart from the spaces that we have discussed? EMS space seems to be coming back. Avinashji, our erstwhile favorites, Dixon Tech, Keynes Tech, Amber Enterprises, they are again making some sort of a comeback. But again, the previous time, where they got stuck was when the valuations question started to pour in after a substantial rally. How are you looking at the valuations of these companies right now? And do you like any between the three main names that we always discuss?
See, now, as of now, if one were to buy these stocks, Sakshi, I think you need to at least take a time frame of the next 2 years, because valuations have definitely become a little fair to expensive. And most importantly, the EMS space continues to be growing rapidly. It's a very promising kind of segment. But I think stocks like Dixon, or for that reason Keynes Technologies, they could be accumulated, but with a 2 year kind of time frame. I think investors who want to take a short term call may not get the kind of risk reward. But yes, I think within the given kind of conditions, the government support, and the kind of opportunity in global markets, Indian companies will continue to do well. So I think it's definitely a good opportunity to buy on any decline, but definitely at these valuations, short-term upside is limited.
Short-term upside is limited. All right. Towards the end, Mr. Gorak Shakar, we'll just ask you, is there anything that you are going to be staying away from in the second half of the calendar year as well, that you're not going to be touching?
See, I think clearly, I think if you look at metal space, I think metal is yet one area where I think we have not seen a large amount of China buying, and only the currency factor has started playing out. So I would say that, for the metal companies, I think we need to see stronger demand from the international market, specifically China, Europe, and US, which has not yet come. So I think, clearly the first half has been reasonably moderate for most of the metal companies, but yet I think the trigger point will come only post September. So I think we like to be a little cautious here, because clearly prices have not moved up and China has remained absent in a big way in the metal markets. So I think I would be a little cautious on this sector, and will be on the back foot here.
Okay, got that. Mr. Gorak Shakar, always a pleasure to host you with us and seek your wonderful insights for all our viewers. Hope you have a fantastic time. We'll see you very soon on another edition on Business Today Television. Thank you so much for your time. All right, viewers, we'll continue our conversation with Vaishali now. Vaishali is gearing up to tell us some stocks and, of course, read into the markets. The first 15 minutes of the candle is getting formed. It's absolutely flat, and right now the markets are just toggling between highs and the lows right now. Vaishali, what do you sense?
Well, so it is still Reliance holding the fort quite well.
Yes.
Besides that, I mean, I think maybe Bank Nifty can take a breather for some time over here, but I think few of the tech stocks are getting into momentum. So I do like TCS at this level. That looks attractive for a positional buy.
Okay, got that. We'll definitely keep on an eye out on that as well. Let me just read up a few more names for our viewers to see what else is buzzing. Anything else that's got added in the names within the Nifty 500 basket where I must make a mark? Well, Tips Films maybe, that's up in trade. You also have Shimaru, so some media entertainment stories going strong. You also have names... Okay, very, very far and few between names. Alembic Pharma is one that's also up and about in the Nifty Broadest Index. That's the one that's moving higher. But the markets, as Vaishali also did point out, is turning cautious. Some sectors that have slipped beyond financial services are private banks, autos, realty, metals and IT also seeing some losses at this point, and that's what is keeping the lid on the markets right now. Okay, I'll come to some of the sectors. Let me start off with real estate. Again, Godrej Properties is in focus today, Vaishali. It's again started to foray in Panipat with a 1250 odd crore rupee revenue potential on the project that they're going to be working for. This has been one of your top tracked stocks within the real estate space. How would you look at it now?
Well, so right now it's consolidating, so nothing really happening in Godrej Properties. I would say for near term, 2300 should be taken as support. And now there is a resistance at 2500. Unless and until we see the stock moving about 2500, I think maybe it can consolidate. So 2300 as near term support and 2500 as resistance.
Okay, got that. Taking the next one, and this one will be from the auto aspect. Remember, you did talk about TVS right in the beginning of our conversation today, Vaishali. But rest of the pack seems to be under pressure, like a Hero Moto is under pressure. We are also getting some brokerage houses, giving a sell rating on Bajaj Auto as well today. So that's something that we are looking at as well. But TVS, you believe, is the one that stands out. Beyond the two-wheelers also, are you looking at four-wheelers at this point in time? What looks good?
Well, nothing on the radar because even Mahindra is taking its own sweet time, and
Yeah.
well, little bit of we are looking at Ashok Leyland or yeah, I mean nothing so significant right now.
Okay, nothing's of significance right now. But remember, viewers, there are going to be some stocks that are going to be reacting also to the news flow that the lock-in period is ending for some stocks worth about 3,623 odd crore rupees today. So about 7 companies will see after their IPOs and listing that some of these companies will see their lock-in period ending as well. So stocks like AG's Vopak, Moti Sons Jewelers, which have been underperforming, will actually see their lock-in periods end today. So keep an eye out on that too. That will also make 3,623 odd crore rupees worth of stocks available for trading in the open market. So that's something that you can watch out for too. Let me just come to some of the other sectors that we can mark out for our viewers. Within the PSUs, we've discussed the railway pack and the oil and gas pack a little bit. What about stocks like BHEL? Long haul, we haven't discussed this one. But are there any signs of BHEL coming back? It was one of the outperformers in the previous PSU rally, Vaishali. So is it coming back or is it going to be taking time?
I think if I'm looking at the weekly chart also, it's continuing to make a higher bottom. So as long as 260 levels are acting as a good near-term support, I think this can continue to go higher towards 280, 300 levels too. So for now, it's a positive trend.
Now it's a positive trend. Okay, we'll look at some of the other spaces. What about consumption space, Vaishali? Consumer durables, FMCG, what are you looking at here?
Well, hardly anything actually, Sakshi, but well, those are the stocks which will take a long time, but they look attractive at these levels. So I would continue to stay focused on HUL, Godrej Consumers, Nestle. They look quite good. Even
Okay.
Dabur, in fact. So, yes.
Okay, okay, we'll definitely keep an eye out on that one as well. Let me just also pull up a few stocks from the broader markets to ask Vaishali what is she looking at. Okay, let me look at some names within the small caps that are higher. Godfrey Phillips is up 3%, Zen Technologies is up 3%. We've discussed Amber, Keynes, Dixon with Mr. Gorak Shakar. We'll just take one view from Vaishali also on that front. You have some chemical names like Himadri Specialty Chemicals that's higher in trade. GE Shipping from the defense pack is also up. Some of these names are actually buzzing in trade. Naveen Fluorine is also up in trade. Many of these companies that are hovering higher, 2, 3, 4% up in trade right now. Between Keynes, Dixon and Amber, where do you find the strongest charts, Vaishali?
So I think Amber is looking quite positive right now. I'm just looking at Amber. I think 6,800 should act as a support. And seeing today's candle, I think this is getting ready to breach the 7,400 levels. So for now, I would say observe a range of 6,800 to 7,400. And the other one you asked me is Dixon, right?
Yes.
So Dixon also, well, it's consolidating, good buying opportunity at this level with 14,000 as support and keep a range of 15,500 for now. So this too looks good. But Amber is already showing a good strong bullish candle. So yes.
Okay, got that. Now, Vaishali, help me understand. You did talk about the oil and gas story there and your choice of stocks within the mainstream names. But help me understand with the fall in the crude oil prices, of course, with the geopolitical tensions between Israel and Iran finally cooling off, the ceasefire seems to be holding on as fragile as it may be. But how would you look at the crude derivative or the companies and the industries that use crude oil? Indigo is something that we've discussed so many times in the past. How would you look at that? How would you look at paint companies for that matter? Anything interesting on the fall in the crude oil prices? 13% of a fall is what we've seen on Brent crude prices in the last week. So it's ebbing lower.
So definitely, the OMCs should benefit from that, and that's what we already saw that the pickup has begun right from last week in HPBP. Along with that, even the paint stocks like Asian Paints and so on, even Pidilite, to my understanding, that should do well. So yes, but I would take these stocks as a trading strategy.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also helped all our viewers understand. Within the PSUs, how are you looking at the power names, Vaishali, that started moving last week? We've seen names like NTPC, Power Grid making a comeback, PFC, REC making a comeback as well. Any power related stocks that you're looking at as well?
So, well, yes, PFC, REC, they are showing good, momentum to start with because they've seen good correction and, well, they're just consolidating. So, for a long term, right now, there is no strength as such seen, but levels look attractive for a longer term period.
Okay, got that. I hope this has also given us some understanding of how to go about the stocks within this basket. But PSU banks continue to rally smartly. It's the top moving sector, 1.3% higher. The first sector that Mr. Avinash Gorakshakar did point out that he is positive on this sector for the second half of the calendar year has already started to make a move, 1.3% higher, 7,106. SBI is among the top movers as far as the Nifty is concerned. We also have across the board some gains. Vaishali, if I have to ask you, your pecking order on the top 3 or 4 stocks within PSU banks, how would you make that pecking order?
So, Sakshi, you know my answer. It's always SBI on top of the cards, right? So, well, SBI, we have recommended our clients because these levels look very good. So, in all likelihood, 770, 780 has continued to be a very prominent support. So, I do like this stock even now to start accumulating because I think if you're looking at a longer term horizon, 880, 900 should be the target. Besides that, of course, it's Indian Bank, Union Bank, all look good, and well, even Canara Bank. So it's a basket of all these banks. But I think it should be, as far as chronology is concerned, it would be SBI followed by Bob, Canara, Union. That's the way I would go about.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also given you some understanding as to how to go about the space as well. Let me just quickly look at some of the other names. Okay, defense, let's discuss. Defense and railways, we'll discuss one by one. Defense again is showing us some momentum. Bharat Dynamics is among the ones that are moving. You also have some names within the shipping names that are also buzzing in trade yet again. Vaishali, are you approaching with caution now at these stages after the rally has unfolded, or still stocks still feel that they still have a lot of catch up to do from the lows that they were at?
So I would definitely suggest book partial profit and the balance, go through, enjoy the ride with a stop loss. So, you know, you can enjoy the maximum profit that one can get from this. Of course, all are in overbought, and we've seen a quick run up in these stocks in the last few months. So I would say, of course, hold the stocks partially, but profit booking also should not be ruled out. But there are a few stocks like Zentek. These are the stocks which have not yet participated. So I would say yes, those can be looked into.
Those can be looked into. That's the view that's coming in as well. All right. Let's take the next question then. This one is I wanted to understand as far as the story within the pharma index is concerned as well. The pharma stocks are hovering higher. Of course, some of it also has to do with the Torrent Pharma up move that we've seen on the back of the earnings, on the back of the deal that's been signed with JB Chemicals and Pharma. Natco Pharma is also up by 3.5%. Oro has already been marked out by Vaishali before. Ajanta, Laurus Labs, Gland Pharma, Divi's, they're all making a comeback. Ipca Laboratories, especially the diagnostic chains, they are making a comeback as well. Vaishali, are you looking at the diagnostic majors right now?
Well, actually, I'm going stock specific. You just spotted Natco. So that's technically very well placed. Then I'm looking at Lupin. Then we spoke about Oro. So right
Yeah.
now, these are the stocks that come to my mind. And yes, I would, because the Glenmark, we had actually recommended it's already in a very strong uptrend. So
Yeah.
these are the stocks like even Sun Pharma, I think we spoke about it. 1600 was acting as a very good
Yes.
support. And from there on, it has taken on in its upward move. So these are the stocks. And looking at the pharma sector, well, it's attempting to get into a rally. Currently 22,300, 500, it's a cluster of resistance at these levels. So once we see a pickup coming and the sector sustaining above these levels, I think we are out of the woods as far as pharma is concerned, and we can see good run up coming.
Can see good run up coming. Okay, we'll keep an eye out on that. Let me just quickly point out a few more names that we can discuss with Vaishali. Again, let's also point out a few names within the capital market stories again. That's something that we haven't touched base upon today, and see what is buzzing. Today it's Edelweiss that's up by 3 odd percent in trade. You also have MOFSL that's up by about 2 odd percent. IFL Finance is also hovering higher within the broking houses spaces. What's looking good here in the capital market story? Exchanges or brokers? What are you looking at?
Yeah, so as you I'm just looking at this chart, Edelweiss, and I think it's showing strength. That too is coming out of its previous high. So I think if this sustains, I would say 110 should act as a support, and as a positional target, one can look for a target of 145. So this is one of the stocks. In fact, even JM Finance was getting into a strong upward move last week. So that too continues to show strength, and all likelihood it can move past the previous high.
Okay, fair point. I hope this has also given you some sense as to how to go about it as well. Let me just quickly look at some of the other aspects. Okay, renewable energy we haven't discussed today. Wari Energies was also up by about 3 odd percent today on the back of the order win that they have got. Renewable energy space, are you looking at any fresh moves? Technically, are the charts looking positive? Anywhere SW Solar, Wari Energies, any other renewable energy names that you're looking at maybe?
So I would say yes, Wari looks quite good. I mean, 2,800. In fact, we have been recommending this to our clients. 2,800 acts as a support, near-term support for those who have not bought and would wish to buy. Even now, I think it's not a bad idea. Start accumulating because long-term targets look possible of 3,700. In fact, it's Inox India, Inox Wind. Those two are doing well. So I am looking at Inox India, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 right now, the prices. This too has got good upside potential of 1,500 if this comes in that category. Yeah, so
Okay, got that. So that's the view that's coming in on the renewable energy basket as well. First half an hour of the candle viewers is now formed. You can see still near 2/10% of a fall on the Nifty, 25,591. We are 44 points down in trade as far as the Nifty is concerned. Real estate, private banks, financial services, IT, auto, metals, infra and FMCG, they have all slipped into the red. So the heavyweight ones, both the banking names as well as the IT names are down in trade and are not participating at this point in time. You can actually see a cautious trade taking place as far as the D Street is concerned. Only the PSU banks within the banking space is what is sticking out, and that's the one that's bucking the trend as well. Top performing, small caps, mid caps higher, pharma names higher, oil and gas and consumer durables. These are the only pockets that are hovering higher in trade. Geo Financial Services is now also at 330 odd levels, 2% higher for this one. We are also looking at SBI, that's about 1% higher. Both these names we have discussed on the show. Vaishali, what's your call on Geo? What's the next target that you would want to give on Geo Finance?
So see, Geo also has shown a good upward move. It can retrace a bit, but if you're looking at a long-term horizon, I think 350 would be the next target. That's where the previous high has been. And once you see the stock moving above 350 levels, it can go to 380 also. So, but if the ideal level to get into the trade is at around 310.
Okay. All right, Vaishali. Now we'll stop talking about the current market and we'll talk about the future. We'll talk about the next 6 months. Give us your call on the Nifty. Give us your call on the Nifty Bank as far as the next 6 months are concerned.
Next 6 months. Well, so I would say 24,700 continues to be the support for a long-term perspective. And well, all going well, the way the the sectors and the major index are moving, I think this is ready for a target of 27,000 as far as Nifty is concerned. And Bank Nifty, I would say 58,500 to 59,000. That is the target resistance that we are looking at.
Okay, awesome. Well, we will thank you then, Vaishali, on that note. You're saying 27,000 on the Nifty, which means higher than the previous highs that we've seen. 26,277 could be coming in, which means in the second half of the calendar year, Vaishali believes all-time high levels could actually be seen on the Nifty and also on the Nifty Bank, which is already continuing to be at all-time high levels. Further upside can actually be seen upwards of 58,000 on the Nifty Bank as well. So that's where she expects the markets to continue to soar as well. So good times probably coming in for the markets going forward from here. Vaishali, always a pleasure to speak to you and thank you so much for your time on Market Today. We'll hope that you have a fantastic time and we'll see you soon. All right, viewers, we'll start wrapping up the morning trading edition of Market Today. 25,584. It's been a cautious start to say as far as the markets are concerned. 0.2% lower right now. We are near the low point of the day after the first half an hour of the trade has lapsed. Let's see how this really pans out. What's not supporting? Banking space, especially the private banks and the financial services. Remember, in the last 1 week, 10 days or last 2 weeks when the markets were higher, it's been the banking space, it's been the financial space that's really supported the sentiments. That's seeing some profits being taken off. Instead, PSU banks are coming back into a flavor, which Mr. Avinash Gorakshakar did point out that he's going to be looking at some upswings there. Now, apart from that, IT is also not performing. That's been a laggard last week. It continues to be in a softer stage. Remember, we are going to be inching closer to the earnings announcement of Q1 after about 10 days to 12 days. We are going to be starting to see IT names coming out with their earnings. That's going to be important to watch. Let's also look at what else is dragging. You have autos, FMCG, consumer durables, all of them down in trade. You also have metal names that are dragging in trade. So far, it was also the metals, the oil and gas names, the commodity names that were hovering higher. Oil and gas continues to still hold up, but the metals are giving up some of their sheen. Broader markets are still higher in trade, but the gains are again limited there. You can actually see on the small caps about 0.5% higher, 0.6% higher. For the mid caps, it's about 0.4% higher in trade right now. Top mover on the Nifty, Jio Financial Services, State Bank of India, Shriram Finance, L&T, Eternal, Bajaj Auto, Cipla. These are all the various sectors and one stock from each sector that's actually moving up. On the downside, Hero Moto is dragging, Dr. Reddy's, Tata Consumer Products, NTPC, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Again, a diversified set of names. So what's buzzing on F&O? Keynes Technology, Amber Enterprises, EMS space coming back. From the banking space, Bandhan Bank has given a breakout. Vaishali believes this is poised for a move up. Bharat Dynamics is also another one that's also moving up. Within the PSUs, names like IRFC, Rail Vikas from the railway pack is also buzzing in trade. We also have names like IOC Oil India that's also buzzing. BPCL is buzzing in trade too. So the oil and gas names and the railway names continue to hover higher as far as the PSU names are concerned. All right, viewers, we wrap it up at that 69 points lower at 25,570 right now. We'll continue to keep an eye out on how the markets pan out, but you stay tuned on to Business Today Television. In case you have questions about the stocks in your portfolio, ask them away on our daily calls show at 12 noon that I'll be back with 2 market experts guiding you with your stock queries. Stay tuned. for an